What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mystics MMOs. I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Alright, so the new CP system is here. I've already played with two characters. I'm going to jump on my DK and I'm going to do a walkthrough for the people who aren't experiencing it or the people who are a little scratching their heads, because in a way I like it, and in a way I'm a little disappointed, because point distribution is not asserted unless there's passive applications and then there's inserted application, and I'll go over this, or I should say distributed application, and I'll go over it because not every, it's going to be based on a lot of gear, and you can make up a lot of critical value, but you're never going to hit what you had. So crit did take a huge hit in a lot of ways. But as you guys can see, my new character, no champion points are distributed. No skills are distributed. Now, first thing I want you guys to see is my max health went up, because my health is actually my health points increased, so I can take this down once I'm done. But you'll see, like, my base penetration currently is at 31, and that's because of the gear that I have on currently is sharpened. But if I was to switch this out for, let's say, you know, my Juliana set, let's kind of, I want that to be heavy. I really do. Because we're gonna go over a new configuration. I'll put light on, where you're not gonna need a 511 configuration anymore. Okay? So very important. That's heavy. Man, that's heavy too. I don't have. Oh well. Ugh, it stinks. We'll just go with the 6.1 config for now. It's fine. Or a 5.1.1 config. That's how it was set up, but it will have to change. So, a lot of changes. Just kind of getting set up here. Alright. I think that's everything. Alright. So I have a crit set on, and you'll notice, like, my crit is still kind of low. It is considerably low. My health is still high, and I don't have distribution into the Undaunted passive. Once I go into the Undaunted passive and apply that, and we go in, now I'm at 22. I can, like I said, I can afford to take that health down now considerably. Now, the next thing I want you guys to notice, I want to unlock all of my racial passives first. It's a little loud. Let me turn that down. Okay, so I want to unlock all my racial passives first. I'm going to go into my armor sets. I'm a light armor, so I'm going to go ahead and unlock all of my passives. Then I want to go to heavy armor at least and take the health boost. That one's really important to me as well, because then when I come back in, now I'm at 2285. Okay. Then I want to unlock my class-based abilities or passives. Okay. I don't use it. I don't think any on this bar. I could. But anyways, then I can also, well, we'll get into the skills in a minute. Destruction staff passives. Mage Guild. Passives. Now I will unlock this and slot it. Okay. I'm going to go back to destruction. Okay. You can do the volatile armor. It's pretty cool. I usually go with Harden for PvP, and then I can also have it for PvE. This does a little bit more damage, though. So, we'll take the volatile for now. And then, take the ferocious. I usually take the choke for the synergy, but then I take the draw essence. Engulfing flame. And there's one more ability you need. And I'll take the flames and then the mage guild. Okay, so now I have my bar slotted. To take the new Major Gallop, you have to spend into continuous attack. Okay, that's pretty much where we're all standing. Now, this is where I'm at currently without CP. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add the CP system. It's kind of interesting because you got to start off with your initial investment. And precision is really one, unless you're going stam, but most people are still going to like hit into the crit. And they're going to max that out. But the biggest goal for you to do is get 4. Just 4 glows, you know, because anything else you can't, you're not building that passively. This is passive, meaning that applies. So let me show you guys. I'm going to back out really quick, show you my crit, right? My spell crit's only at 46. When I add this passive and then confirm it, and then come back out and go back in, now we're at 49. So it jumped up 3.5 or about 3%. So now here's the deal. You can take Backstabber, you know, if you're flanking in dungeons that would apply, but you can only apply 4. So to me, fighting finesse is a lot better. Now these can stack, but remember you can only slot 4, right? So if I go ahead and now I can assign it. When I assign it, I have to move this bar over for what slot I'm going to allocate it. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and I want to build into what? Thaumaturge, because I'm a dot build. So I'm going to go ahead, come in here. You have to put a little into the penetration. You don't need to go all the way into this if you're a mag user, but Stam, I would make that recommendation. Now when I come down here, then I can increase the apply the effects. I want to get down here to War Mage, right? That's the most important part for me. And then I can come down here and I can allocate the rest of the points. Now these are passives, so they will apply once they're allocated. Once I'm in here, now I can redirect to the ford that I'm really wanting to focus in on, right? And this is going to be thaumaturge all the way. And then you can do area of effect, AoEs. Now here's the issue. Now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to assign this. Now remember, I can assign it to this bar, and then I have to move it over and assign it to this. Now here becomes your question. You can pick up Max Magicka passively. You can pick up spell damage slotted. Okay, this is where it kind of gets confusing, because over here you also have Magicka slotted. So are you going to scale magic, or are you going to scale spell damage? So that becomes the question, how you're going to scale damage, because you have to slot it. So for example, I have 5 points available left to my system. Now let's say, for example, I didn't want to take this. I do want to take it, but oh, hold on, let me come in here. I didn't want I don't want this one right away, so I'm going to take that away. Just kind of applied it. But let's say I have 3 slots, but I want 4. If I want to take this effect, I have to decide how I'm scaling the damage. So let's say I put some point. It goes max 50. It maxes the 50. But let's say I go ahead and I take this ability. I'm just showing you, and I assign it. Right? And now I come over here, and let's say I take this ability. Right? I unlock it. I still can't slot it. So I'm going to confirm this, because I can respec for free right now and kind of show you guys what I mean. So currently my max magicka is at 37. My spell damage is at 28. Okay. But let's say I want to check out my bar. And I say, you know what? I don't want my max magicka slotted. I want to go ahead with my my wrath. So I'm going to go ahead, and then I'll slot the wrath instead. Okay, there's that. There's that. I'm coming over here, and now I'm going to put this. I'm going to confirm it, or make sure I have it slotted. And now, it's probably just to the abilities. Let me do it another way. Well, that's whatever. But let's say I take this off. Just example. No, it is. Let me go ahead. Hold on. There's that. Take that one off. Okay, so we just have thaumaturge. Now. I know. I think I actually have to complete it, but I don't want to, but I'll. Okay. 37,000. Now we're going to assign this. Confirm. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go all the way. It worked on my mage. So, hold on. I hate the fact that I have to do this. Oh, it didn't assign it. That's why. Assign. Okay. Did it work? Let me just go through it. Spend all the points that I have to. Anyways, I put the rest in here. Just for shits and giggles. This will scale. That'll go up. And now... Or not. Oh boy. Anyways, you want to unlock 4 glows. Put the thaumaturge over here. Put that over here. What? Okay, there's our 4 glows. All right. Man. Am I going to have to keep, like... Okay, everything's checked that I want on anyways. Man, I'm telling you. Let me just get through this. This thing. I don't even know how... What is that? Just... Oh, I'm hitting the button. It has an automatic assign. It's really kind of crazy how it all pans out. But you can only have 4 abilities slotted to receive the benefit of it. I think it even has to be potentially max. Because, well, let me go ahead and unslot this one. So let's take away my critical, right? Okay, so critical is at 49. Let's go back in. It is applied. Ugh. This is probably the most confusing aspect. Okay, so we're clear. It didn't. It still... You want to slot it, though. Increase your critical damage. Not chance. But anyways, there's your damage. You want to go ahead, slot... Well, that's a good way to check it out. Thaumaturge, 2%. All right, for example, is my thaumaturge. Let's go to my skills. Ugh. Okay, currently, Burning Embers deals 13.8 over 14 seconds. Go to the CP system. Apply thaumaturge. Back out. Oh, see, it pulled it out. Okay. I was about to say. Now go back into the skills. Why isn't the tooltip updating on this tune? Oh my god. You would think the tooltip isn't like updating correctly. All right. Maybe. There it is. Oh god. Man. You have to confirm, you have to do all... Anyways, we went from a 13.8 to a 14.9. So it worked. Okay, when we go into the character, now, you can't see it, but I can stack the magicka, I could stack the effects into the CP system. Okay, so it's kind of important to understand this, especially when you're taking a look at your penetration values, everything else like this. There is over penetration in certain scenarios, and in certain scenarios, you know, having a little extra pen isn't a bad thing. But the most important element is there's passives into the CP system that are not glow effects. So 260, I can actually redistribute this. So I have to hold it, and I can, let's say I'm not going to use the Arcane Supremacy, or I'm not going to use Wrathful, right? And I want to go ahead and stack more into this. I can do that. And then when I come back in, now we are scaled correct. That's a passive, right? But into the CP system, the only way you're going to get the benefit from the glows is slotting it. If you don't, like for example, Backstabber's not going to do me any good if I'm not slotting it. So I only need 4 abilities unless I want to switch out one of these for another build configuration. So it's a convenience to have them at your disposal, but you can only have 4 slotted at a time. So where you want to divert is what? The passives. Okay? So diverting into the passives is where it becomes a little bit more beneficial once you've obtained your 4 primary forms of distribution, or active stats, I like to call them. Your active stats. Because unless they're barred, they're inactive. They're inactive. Add to champion bar to activate. If you distribute points into them, they're inactive unless you properly place them. Passively, then we gain more. So we get a little bit more for the passives until we slot said abilities. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Like right down here, I can go ahead and increase, once again, my spell damage. Right? If I want to stack spell damage, I can do that. So let's say I want to redivert into the spell damage. So I can literally just go ahead, hold, and then let's say I'm going to go ahead and take out my biting, my AoE effects, right? Because it's only going to affect what? AoEs. Let's say I'm going to go ahead and take out my Thaumaturge because I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to stack all of this, I might as well just stack completely in to my base stats. And you can do that. That's totally legit. And then you're going to go ahead and stat up in here. Now we're going to assign into our empty spots. We're going to confirm. We pull out and we go into our character sheet, and now we see a slight adjustment. The question of it is, the diminishing value is still here, but since it's a flat rate, what they ended up doing was making you think about how you're going to scale your effects, right? Where you're going to get the most based on what? Your abilities and your build configuration. So once again, like, I'm like, you know what? I don't deal a lot of direct damage, because look, this is a flat, right? That's 165 flat. This is flat, right? These are flats. That's flat. That is flat. If anything is a percentage base, right? It's a diminishing return based on what? Allocation. So even if I go up by 2%, right? And they're like, oh, well, now I got 4%, right? Now I got 6%. Now I got 8%. And now I got 10%. Right? You would think, oh, well, there's no diminishing return. You can't see it. Doesn't mean it's not existent. Percentage-based math always, when and during investment, follows under the law of diminishing marginal return. Even if they put it into a limited, any percentage math falls under that category. Any. So am I going to lose by redirecting one form of damage into this? Well, because I'm getting 10%, right? Here I'm getting 10%. These are, you would think, but it's, the critical damage increases the critical damage. Application is based on what? Scale. So if you use the axes, your critical value is marginalized by what? Your current critical rating. So the same thing applies. It's, it's not as detrimental, but it's still there. So I like how they try to say there's no diminishing returns anymore. Bullshit. You cannot escape the law of diminishing marginal return. You can't. You cannot. If you're running percentage-based math with investment, you are falling under the line of diminishing marginal return. You just cannot see it. Okay. So, different configurations are going to benefit from different specifications. Right? So, that's the deal. When I'm scaling, I might say, oh, you know what? A couple more points. If I had the points to distribute, I might want to take, see, look at this. 6 or 8, 10. But let's say, that's 10 points, man. So I can, afford to take more into my passive gain for the flat value. Because why? Because my dots would increase anyways. Right? But I still get the slot. Right? So I want to take up as many passives as possible to what? To increase the damage occurringly. Same thing here. This is a passive effect. We have a passive effect. And we have a passive effect. Okay, so we're not going to need bleeds and stuff. But obviously another one would. But we have to put a few into the point system to do what? Increase, our chance. So there's a lot of things that has changed with the new system, but at the same time, there are certain things that you have to understand what you want to go ahead and do and how to gain the most out of it. If you're limited on points. Once you have enough points, it's just as simple as just swapping it out. It's just like, oh, okay, but I want four bars. So that's the whole kicker. I want to maximize the bar slot capability as best as I possibly can. So I deal a lot of AoE damage. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divert at least X amount of points in just so what? So I can slot it. Now I have 4 slots. Now I can redirect passively until I've, earned enough to the max for the cap. So I could take this up to 50 if I wanted to. That's going to be the cap. And then I can redirect passively until I cap. But I can't slot this. This isn't a slottable. Same thing with the healing effects. These are all, bar slotted. So you got to be a little careful how you slot your abilities based on what? Configuration. Build configuration. All right. So once again, is diminishing returns gone? No. It's just convenient to slot now. So basically, we're going to lose somewhere else and gain, but we want to go ahead and maximize what? On passive statting. A lot of passive statting is going to come into your subtree. Right? This is where passive statting occurs, and then in between lines. Okay? So let's say I go ahead and I confirm it. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I come over here to the warrior. I didn't want to necessarily take that. Stam, sprint. You got to put a minimum of 10 to unlock. Now I'm going to max the health out. Shields are up here. So if you're going to go with shields, you can do that, or you can go direct. And then there's other altercations, and then there's always like, I definitely want to take advantage of the recovery. Okay, and then there's 1 per kill. I want to take advantage of this as DPS. Okay, and then let's say if I'm a mag user and I'm using shields, I want to go ahead, take the minimum, because I don't need all the bar slots, but like if that's going to be my main slot, I'm going to maximize the effectiveness. Once again, the scaling system off shields is what? Health. If it's health, then if you have more health and you add the bastion, there's a diminishing return based on what? Health investment in CP system. So is diminishing returns gone? No. No, no, and no. You have people who just don't know what they're talking about. Okay? It's just the name of the game. It's just this is a flat value to add a percentage, another percentage value to the stat sheet. But once again, it's percentage based. Okay? You cannot avoid the law of math. You cannot do it. Yes, it is a fixed number within the CP system, but it's a stacking effect due to other investments from outside, whether it be Mundus, gear, or, stat attribution. So, but let's say now I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to assign these. So I want to go ahead, assign. I want to make sure they're all in separate bars to get the more bang out of my buck. And then this is pretty much just like, how do you want to, earn money? So this dude doesn't harvest, for example. So I'm going to take all of the nice juicy stuff that's going to be looted capabilities. Now, may say way shrines isn't a big deal. I'm just going to take it to unlock this at its max potential. So do you need all of, all these points to be effective? No. Absolutely not. Okay, so I can add the duration of foods if I wanted to. Guards. Reduce fall damage. It's not necessarily a bad one, but you kind of get where I'm going. Only thing I can do is a slot 4. So I'm going to assign. Mount speed's kind of cool. So I might put a few points into this. He doesn't harvest either. Just to increase the mount speed. Okay. Okay, passive, passive, passive. 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to think of what other one I would really want. I could make him a fisher. Technically you can make fishers and stuff like that now. So there's kind of a cool elements there. But do I need all of this? No. So because most of these are like passives, and then the outskirts are slotted. Actually, there is something I need. I could take Steed's Blessing. So let me go ahead and take this down a little bit. Oh. And then I can assign this, and that'll stack. Okay. Now when we go back into our character, we have so much health, it's ridiculous. So the recovery is not bad, but notice the critical value, it's down considerably. And I could take the Thief, which I already have actually. But the critical value, like Mother's Sorrow, is now going to be way more dependent because of these critical values. But now I can easily get, like, once I respec, how much gold do I have on me? Not enough. Let's go get some. Well, I mean, I got to take it to the respec area anyways. So, anyways, the biggest thing about this is those passives that you're investing in are inactive unless slotted. So do I want 5, 6, 7 shinies? No. I want those passives. I want to invest into the passive capability, right? And then I want to take advantage of percentage-based values after what? Scaling. Scaled values will increase damage, all damage.
If you're looking for the bank.
Okay. Most of the configurations are going to be a 6-1 config. Most. Like I could jump up and put this up to a little over 50 with, 7, but the base damage decreases considerably. Okay. Now when I come into skills, we'll take a look at my life without any points invested. 22 already. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stack everything into Max Magicka for scaling purposes. Now when I come in, I'm at 38,000 Max Magicka. Come down to this side, I'm over 40. Right? Because of my my light. And that will increase my damage considerably. Okay, so once I get another piece of light armor, one heavy, I can get this around 50-something% crit value without Mother Sorrow. But Mother Sorrows definitely and Leviathan are going to be a much more, lenient. They're going to really depend on it. Axes will come into effect as well due to the critical application, or daggers, I should say. But there's a lot of changes when it comes to distribution and scaling. So if I wanted to scale this more Magicka, I want to go ahead and place that into the CP system accordingly. I have 26 left in there. So if I wanted to scale more Max Magicka, I would want to maximize this, and I would want to have this slotted. If I want to maximize spell damage, then I would want to go ahead and take the Untamed, and then I would want to go ahead and take Wrathful Strikes. It depends on the scaling. Once again, those is what? It's a contributing factor because that's a base. Those are base effects. That's a scale effect, right? So the diminishing value still applies not to flat base values, but to percentage value. Percentage value, any form of percentage math, that's invested, whether it's capped or not, still applies to the law of diminishing marginal returns because there are other sources in which you can scale your damage higher. So, yeah. Now, so is DR still present in the game? Absolutely. You just don't see it, but anytime a percentage math is applied, it adheres. There's no way around it. Okay, they did a better job controlling it. I don't deal with math. I put points here, see what happens, and then move them somewhere else. Once I find a setup that I hit the hardest, that's the one I go with, is it? Okay. So, but it's the scaling system and how it applies. But yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, they added a flat value, a cap, not a flat value, more or less a control cap, and especially with slotting active or inactive. Inactive passives will be the most, sought. So getting these points up there, to be effective is going to be somewhat detrimental. The over-penetrating value for the light armor is present. I wish this would have actually been different, but you definitely can see where it's kind of going, how you want to distribute this. The STAM users are kind of at a disadvantage because they're chokehold into only two options: gear with penetration, trait with penetration, right? Sharpened. Once again, they're sharpened trait because they'll lose on, like, I'm going to stay with piercing, but I'm going to actually have to reconfigure, I went with the lover, and then I can, trade off, injury for like recovery or something along the lines. So, and then monster sets. So gear, trait, or Mundus. There's not enough value into the current CP system for STAM users to have more capability of, picking that up. Maces helps, for sure. Maces is a great way to make up that penetration gap. But when you take a look at a bow, you don't have a penetrating value. So let's say you go with a mace, you're still going to sharpen the bow, and you're going to lose the critical value off of the initial trait, but you can make up the critical value with weaving. But that's kind of important because it only applies to bow effects and not other effects like caltrops. So you need to keep that in mind when application is applied. So overall, there are certain things that I like about this because once you gain enough CP points, you can just unlock all of these, and then just switch it out according to your build. So if I want a PV, let's say I had enough CP points, I could have these unlocked and then have my healing ones unlocked, switch out my gear, and then just switch out my bar, right? My active bar. Now I'm configured for healing. I'm no longer configured for damage. I just have to slot this over and boom, I'm now a healer because I put on the gear, I put on the abilities, and I redistribute my active CP abilities or CP stats. And then that just moves it over. I might have to switch out the Mundus. But that's what it is. It's more convenient for people who have more CP. It's not more effective. Okay? So people are like, there's such a gap between the low and the new ones based on how many. No, I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think the devs did a great job allocating the points into the stats, right? But we see a lot more survivability, right? We can pick up the resistance, and you should, those, especially the passive ones, when you have enough points. But in the beginning, if you're going to be a damage dealer, you want to go ahead and maximize your damage output, and then redistribute into your survivability, and so on and so forth, especially when it comes to PvP configurations, active or inactive, abilities, and making sure that you maximize the passive capabilities. That's going to be very important. So I'm calling it right now 6-1 config. 6 on medium, 6 on light, 1 on heavy. It's going to be typical. It's going to be the most profitable DPS configuration. Depending on the Mundus, it'll be 6 divine, 1 infused, or 2 infused, 5 divine. No 3 divine anymore. Because why? If I'm running the thief, I want to maximize that. If I'm running the lover, I want to maximize that even further, especially for Stam, because Stam's limited. So to see a Stam user potentially in a 7 light config, medium configuration for critical value it can happen, but they'd lose the max in their Stam and their health, which is, that's the toss up. So I think more you're going to see a 6-1 configuration. 6 medium, 6 light, 1 heavy on most configurations. So that's what I'm calling it like that. So that's where we're at. Overall, I think Zoss did a pretty decent job. It's a lot more controlled, right? It has a lot more flexibility, especially when you want to reconfigure a build. You don't have to start from scratch, right? So once you've allocated enough points, you don't have to come back into your CP system to pick up new inactive. I wish they would have called these something. Constellations, like max constellations. So you don't no longer have to, take that up and reconfigure CP over and over again. You have innate, right, or passive attribution, and then you will have active active status. So into the constellation system. So I think it's a really good change up. It can be confusing. It can be. Just put it in this context. You don't have 2,000 CP. I don't even have 1,000. You're going to be limited. What's your focus point? To unlock 4 into your active bar. You want to unlock 4 into the active bar. That's your goal. Okay? Then redistribute everything passively. Okay? Because I'm not going to need Backstabber. I'm not going to need Occult Overlord. I'm not going to need Revealing Blows. I'm not going to need any in the healing tree because they're not slotted. These are useless unless slotted. Okay? Do not distribute points in these effects if you're not going to currently slot them. Okay? That's the easiest way to explain it. Pick up the passives, unlock the 4, maximize those out, and then run it up. Okay? That's how you really want to take advantage of it. Like right here, healing taken, your critical resistance, right? Reduces damage. All of these things will apply later as you're acquiring. Okay? As you're acquiring these effects. But to be the most effective, focus in on the 4 active and then pick up everything else passively. You don't want to keep distributing into anything more than 4. And having, like, I have this entire head unlocked, but it does me no good because I'm only having 4 on a bar, right? So what do I want to do? I want to unlock the passive capabilities, okay? Easiest way to explain it. Pretty much. Okay, anybody has any questions, any comments, post below. I know a lot of people have walkthroughs and everything, but is it the end of, like, the heavy armor meta? No, that's another thing I want to go over. So, Zoss did a great job with the armor system. However, you can offset it in the CP system. So increase your movement speed while sprinting. Oh, Zoss. Oh, Zoss. Zenimax, Zenimax, Zenimax. They did fix some of the recovery issue. They'll retwork this. They're going to retwork a couple of things. Reduce the cost of sprint. Combo this up in heavy. You're still going to see PvP with heavy, with CP. Just because of these two things. You know, all sorts of stuff you can manipulate. Still, you're limited. You're still kind of limited. But it's a better controlled mechanism. I like that. I do like this. So I'm not dogging on it. Please understand, I'm not ragging on this system at all. But once again, just because we have a flat-based percentage value is what? Adherent. Okay. So did a lot of the content creators catch on to that? No, they did not. They did not. They don't understand the math. Again, it disappoints me again and again and again and again and again. It's like, it's percentage math. Okay? There's only one law. If you're investing in any percentage math, you are adherent to the law of diminishing marginal return. That's why it's called a law. Okay? It's a law. Welcome. Okay. Anyways, how does it affect scaling? Okay, it affects the scale system. As always, I'm your boy, Mystic Raven. Like, hit, subscribe. I'll talk to y'all later. Enjoy it. It is fun. It is good. It's going to be great. I promise. All right. Peace.